Everybody. Thanks for joining us for Trustworthy Tuesday, where Chris and I kind of talk about, and we get kind of a little personal and talk about our experiences and the research around business and trust. So, Chris, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Sorry about my butterfingers in the beginning. I was like clicking too much, too excited.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
are you going
So
today?
I'm doing okay, visiting my mom in Philly and my family. So I haven't seen them because I was in Australia, New Zealand for a little while. Got home 2 weeks ago, so I've not seen my family in like 8 weeks, 9 weeks. So yeah, I'm in Philly and the weather is nicer than in Minnesota. So I'm happy. It's all good.
I love that for you. Family's so important.
It is. And for some people, it all like ends up looking different, right? So I'm really, really good friends with my sisters. We talk all the time, like every day, and close to my mom. So, where my husband is more about the talk once a month kind of, if that, and they all love each other. It's just every relationship is defined so differently, which we find in business too, right? There is no one size fits all, basically.
So true. I mean, I think that's we love some good standardization. We love some good governance. We love some good processes. But to your point, one size never fits all.
Yeah, like everybody's relationship and situation is unique, and so how do we like step aside and really honor and value that uniqueness? I think is when we want the standardization and we want it to go smoothly that way, which kind of brings us what's been on my mind today. You know, with all of the uncertainty going on, with people getting laid off, with the economy, being uncertain, with people not knowing which end is up right now in so many ways. I was kind of, you and I are both consultants. I was kind of wondering if we could tee up a conversation around how do we help our clients, like we're hired to do jobs and to accomplish certain deliverables and to help companies do certain things, and yet not only are we dealing with uncertainty, but our clients are dealing with uncertainty, and that uncertainty, fear, and fear creates like hesitancy, and people hold back and they don't want to make decisions, and they so I'm thinking, how do we navigate that, and what does trust have to do with it, right? um so I don't know, that's been on my mind, as I'm watching my portfolio, and I'm watching all the news. I try not to watch news anymore, but that occurs to me, what role could we play as consultants to kind of help our clients a little bit, and and again, what our experiences have been. So I don't know. And I'll overlay that with what we just talked about, family. Every family, every relationship is unique and different. Every experience is unique and different. So what do we do with all that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think so first of all, it's a great topic because it's so timely. You're right, there's so much uncertainty at the moment, and we're almost kind of spending a little bit more time around, local communities that we feel comfortable in and that we know that we can trust, right? Because the bigger our communities get, the more kind of uncertainty there is. And so if I think about that from a personal accountability perspective, um, to be honest, that's why we do Trustworthy, because from an individual accountability perspective, um, being tied to a brand of trustworthiness is incredibly important today. How you show up is incredibly important today. And it's not just what you say, it's what you do, regardless of who you work for or who you work with. Um, you know, being trustworthy in your actions and your behaviors is something that can help to ground people in a sea of uncertainty.
So I love that. So I absolutely love that. So what you're saying is, if I can restate it a little bit, is you can't control a whole lot of stuff going on around you. Like, you can't control what your CEO is doing, and you can't control what the government is doing, and you can't even control what your teammates might be doing. But what you can control is yourself, and you can control how
Yeah.
you show up and how you hold yourself accountable, and almost you end up being a role model for what does trust look like, right? I mean, because everything else around you, you have to navigate, but you
Yeah.
can control. And a big piece of it is, I would imagine, you just talked about grounding and showing up and and and, and being consistent and all those good things about trust, but also your reaction to things. Like, I never quite add that to our trust list, but you choose your reaction, right? You could say something and I could go, ah, and go crazy. Or I could choose to be calm about it and say, hey, Chris, tell me more, or something
Yeah.
like that. Like, how do we choose our reactions to things that then allow others around us to function and trust us more as we trust them more?
Hmm. It's funny because we were just talking about how not everyone is the same. It's not a one size fits all, etc. But when it comes to human behavior, I do see there are some common kind of trends and common threads. And one of the most common threads that I see is around communication, and the most common form being miscommunication. So if you walk into any scenario, any relationship, any team dynamic, knowing that there's always going to be a level of miscommunication because everyone has their own priorities, sometimes their own agendas. Um, the way that I would recommend to think about your behavior when you're reacting to something, so you're not going, "Wah!" Is to be curious, right?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, be curious. If you disagree, curious, ask questions. If you feel offended, and I felt offended in the past, right? Absolutely. Um, and when it's festered, it's because I wasn't curious. I kind of shut down. But when I am curious, I can understand a little bit more, like what they're actually saying, what they're actually trying to communicate to me. And sometimes I realize, oh, they're actually not trying to offend me at all. Maybe it's just the language that they use because we all use different language.
Right. So being curious actually gives you space. And sometimes there are triggers, right? So being curious is a good rule of thumb, but and sometimes, not but and sometimes they're just triggers. So the other thing I do, I love the being curious, and when I look at like what defines me, a lot of it is curiosity. But people also know me as I love drama. Like, I am like all about drama, which is not always good when in reaction. So I've had to develop tools, right, to handle my drama, and breathing. Like, when I feel like how centered are we to understand when a trigger is happening? Like, when you feel that in your gut of your stomach, or you're
Yeah,
ready to go, but you catch it. And for me, it's how do I take like 3 deep breaths? And in the taking of
beautiful.
3 deep breaths, I get grounded, and then I can add the, okay, be curious. Like, instead of
Mm,
like going off the wall, or saying something I'm going to regret later, or saying something that is not necessarily thought through. How do we just breathe and stay in curiosity?
that's it. I love that. That's beautiful. I think I love that you're talking about the like your nervous systems and being
Yeah.
really aware of what's happening behind the scenes in your body. Um, one thing that I love about the ability to work from home here and there is that um, and I hope you guys don't think I'm crazy for it. If I'm ever feeling worked up for whatever reason, right? Maybe it's a stressful day, maybe it was like the final needle in a haystack thing that tipped me over. Or maybe, maybe things aren't just going as planned, right? Cold shower. Cold shower always
Ooh,
gets me. It shocks the system. It helps you kind of recalibrate, um, and just refreshes your thinking.
I love that. The problem I have with the cold shower, or the challenge I have with the cold shower, is then I have to like do my hair and makeup again. So I'd have to figure out how to like do it from the bottom down. What I do, I don't cold shower it, but I definitely like to take a moment. My break is to go out in nature. I think actually research has shown that I think cold shower is a good break state, as well as when you're out in nature and you're just kind of I got certified in neurolinguistic programming years ago, and it was always about breaking your state. And so if you're going down a path, like how do you intentionally change that path so then you can come back refreshed and with a new set of curiosity or eyes or something like that. So I think a cold shower is a great idea for breaking your state, getting out of your seat and going for a walk and breathing and appreciating this, the sun or the rain or the trees around you or something like that would be another break state. Another easy way to break state, honestly, which I learned and have used on occasion, is to like slam down on a table and you go, whoa, and that just breaks your like it breaks your train, it breaks the road that you're on and the journey that you're on.
Really?
Yeah, you can, I
Oh my gosh.
it's so effective. Like I remember being in a meeting once and this meeting was definitely going down a path that was not like helpful. And when I say helpful, I don't mean my agenda, it means helpful in that we're listening to each other, helpful that we're really taking in what we each have to offer so that we can get to a solution. So I just literally took the books that were on the table and dropped them on the floor. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. And that little break did honestly the same as the cold shower or the walk in nature. It made the client go, oh, okay. And then we went right back into the conversation. But that little break state allowed us each to take a moment and then come back listening and come back like in a different like state of mind, which was awesome.
Wow.
So
Okay.
so there you go. That's for our
I,
audience. We have take a shower, walk in nature, breathe, and drop things.
oh my, slam something down. I love
Yeah,
that.
don't do it so loud
It's
that
like an
it
energetic
like
release.
it's a yeah. Aren't they all energetic releases though? So maybe that's
Yeah.
just it. What works for me might be something different than what works for anybody else.
Okay. So I'd be very curious to hear what other people's like mechanisms are, because we started with navigating uncertainty. We've kind of come around to almost like coping mechanisms to manage through the uncertainty, because the only certain the part is there's always going to be a level of uncertainty.
And I know we don't have a lot of time, but coming back to what the topic was, and I think this is a big one to talk about again, is how are we when we work with each other, giving space for people to just say how checking in, like how are you today? What's your
Mm,
biggest challenge today? And not passing judgment, but giving just space for people. Like let's say even after you take your shower and walk in nature or break a state somehow and deal with your emotional piece, how do we come back and say, hey Chris, how you doing? And what's your challenge today? And putting it on the table so we can give words to it and give space to it and then move on from it would be another way to break the state, is to talk about, like we talked about this in prepping a little bit, the white
mm,
elephant in the room, the big elephant in the room that nobody's talking about, and
yeah,
let people have space to deal with what they're dealing with. I mean, we're all human, right? And we all have to exist together and get our work done and get our and move our lives along, no matter what's going on around us.
yeah. So true. So true. It is a big elephant in the room. I don't think we talk about it enough. We talk about wanting to help people be successful, set them up for success. And we don't always talk about what happens when it gets tough. What does it look like or sound like when it gets tough?
Yeah. And unless we ask, it could be something that happened with your kids or your partner at home, or, or you burned your eggs and toast making breakfast and then you were late to work because you had to clean it up. It could be
Mm.
something as simple as that. I mean, it doesn't have to be big like the economy or fear of layoffs. It's just like, how often do we give space for people to check in, because we're all navigating life along with our jobs and work, and how are we honoring that in
Yeah,
each other?
that's beautiful. Well, here's to honoring it in each other.
I love it.
And I'm looking forward to how this conversation evolves. I hope that um, our trustworthy network that follow and support our mission to make the world a more trustworthy place, one person at a time, will share their thoughts as well in the comments, and we
Okay,
invite
great.
them to join the next session as well.
And also, just for our Trustworthy Network and people listening as well, we're doing a Trustworthy Lab on April 8th, where we really get into, we give some research and some data points. Love for you to join us. Just message us as we share this out in the public. Message us and we'll send you a link. We'd love to have you.
We're going to love you and leave you, but we hope you have a good day.
Have a great day, y'all. See you next Tuesday.